Hey, it's Sean from FastSexBlog.com. A little while ago, I was reading an article on Search Engine Journal, and it was featuring John Mueller, who basically said that you can't expect that search rankings are going to remain static or be the same. In other words, you got to expect that especially your top rankings, they're temporary. And that struck me. I mean, it's obvious, right? I mean, I know that. There's not a single keyword that I've ranked for that I've maintained over the course of 8 years, a top ranking or any placement. They go up and down. They're in flux, and anybody who does this for a little while knows that. But I was thinking about, well, how do I deal with that? Because, what are your options when you're faced with that, and especially when you're ranking for some good keywords, to maintain them as long as you can. So there's a couple of things you can do, and I have my own way, and I'll get to that last. But I think one thing that you could do that's fairly popular, especially if you target fewer keywords. If you're doing let's say you got a 30, 40 page website, but you're really focusing on some really big keywords and you do affiliate marketing, you make a lot of money. It's a great model. If you like SEO and you like ranking for things, especially more competitive keywords, it's great. I mean, these sites can make just print money, and it could be fun and challenging, et cetera, et cetera. So what do you do in that situation? Well, I think what ends up happening, I don't publish any of those types of sites, by the way, but I think what happens is you play a lot of defense, right? I mean, let's say you achieve top rankings for some really good keywords. You're going to then play defense, which is really kind of like playing offense. I mean, you're going to keep building links or buying them or attracting them or whatever the method is that you effectively got links to rank for those, because you're going to need links for those types of keywords. And you're going to, continually, to an extent, update your content. So you're really focusing on a handful of pieces of content and the whole SEO surrounding that. Now, you may continue, of course, trying to grow the authority of the site overall to help that as well. So you just got to bring your A game in the SEO department. I don't really have an A game in the SEO department, as you'll find out, because I deal with this totally different. So I want to talk about that next. Okay, so my approach with publishing is not to focus on a few super high value, lucrative keywords. I have done that in the past. If you run a local brick and mortar business and you're in a particular town, you're definitely going to focus on a handful of keywords. That's the nature of it. I would bring my A game if that were the situation I was in. But for me, what I fashioned myself more as just an online publisher, content publisher, really publishing content sites. And what that means is I put an emphasis on the content and lots of it, and not so much on trying to rank for a particular keyword, especially high value. In fact, I veer away from the high value stuff. I'm not out to build links. I'm not out to try to rank for super lucrative keywords. I really prefer to rank for lots of low competition keywords via publishing lots of content, publishing long content. And that's been my model. Now, makes it sound like I have big sites. My sites are kind of sizable, but they're not huge. So I'm working toward that. But for the size they are, they do pretty well. So what this does is it certainly doesn't like go against what John Mueller was saying, and that keyword rankings are temporary. I mean, even though I do this, all my rankings are temporary. But what's interesting is because I try to rank for literally hundreds of thousands of keywords, some with like minuscule search volume. Like I'm not going for big search volume, but you add them all up, it adds up to a lot. So what happens is on any given day, I might get drop down 20, 30 keywords from maybe number 1 or 2 or whatever. We're talking obscure stuff, right? But then on the flip side, other keywords will rise up, okay? And so it's this constant ebb and flow. And so my approach is really twofold. It's to continually publish more content, targeting more keywords, and just trying to rank for more keywords in the aggregate. Understanding I will lose rankings. I've always understood that. This article on SEJ is not something new. I don't think it's new for any of us. It's interesting that Google would flat out come and say it. I guess it kind of almost sounds like, wow, this is a revelation, but it's not. And so the other thing that I do is I really need to do this better. I really do. And that is put some time into updating older content to regain rankings I may have lost or achieve rankings that I never had. So these are two things I need to do. But the real linchpin is that my traffic is diversified across thousands of URLs or thousands of articles. I'm not dependent on a handful to generate or deliver all the content. Now, I want to caveat that because I've noticed now, I've been around the block for a few years now, and my highest traffic site is pretty big. What can happen, and it's happened for me, and this is great. I'm not complaining about it, but so I go for long tails typically, right? But what can happen is if you attract enough links to some of these, you end up ranking for the seed keyword, okay, which is high traffic. And, you know, it sucks to lose it because, yeah, I mean, I've ranked for some of these for a while and I get a nice little bump in traffic and it's great. And then I notice, oh, my traffic dropped a bit. And I'll look and it's like, well, I got bumped down for these seed keywords that I just happened to rank for, really no intention, that had a ton of traffic to them. So that happens, and it's great when it works, but then when you lose it, it's not fun. But I'm not going to change my strategy to, you know, go for more seed keywords. I prefer to just keep focusing on, you know, having a really diversified number of URLs where traffic is going to. So if I lose rankings for 10, 20 keywords or even more, it's not going to really make a big dent in the overall traffic. But it takes a lot of work to keep all that traffic, all that content going out, and it gets expensive. But that's the nature of the type of content business that I have. Now there are, you know, I've already mentioned the exception to this, and where you really want to just continue with offense or play and defend your top rankings. If you're a local business owner and you own, you know, got a website, let's say your plumbing business, and you only really have a small handful of actually decent keywords. Maybe it's 30, maybe it's 20. The point is that there's finite. At some point you could go for keywords, but they're not going to really attract prospective customers. You might provide some information, and that's never a bad thing, but you're going to focus on a handful of lucrative keywords where people who are searching are pretty likely to, you know, pick up the phone and call you up. So if that were me, I would be all about bringing my A-game SEO. Well, I'd have to learn an A-game SEO. I don't even have that. I'm just a publisher, but I know enough that, you know, there's a few things I need to do to rank content, but I'm certainly no you know, SEO guy at all, especially the technical stuff. But I would learn it, or else hire somebody who knew it really well. So that's how I deal with the fact that rankings are temporary. It's interesting Google would say that. You know, like it's some revelation. It's not really. I think we've all known that all the years. Anybody owns a site, we understand that, you know, one year you're up for some keywords and then they go down. You just hope you keep replacing that enough to keep that traffic high. Thanks for listening.